Admiral Ho stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel Hope's Light and looked out at the stars. His hands were folded behind his back. His face showed no emotion, but inside his chest, his heart was heavy. This was humanity's last chance for peace. Behind him, Commander Min checked the ship systems. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes and short black hair. She had served with Ho for 15 years. She knew him better than anyone. "Admiral," she said quietly, "the fleet is holding position. They have not moved to intercept us." Ho nodded slowly. "They will let us approach. They want to hear our words before they reject them." The Hope's Light was not a warship. It carried no weapons. It was painted white, the color of peace among human cultures. Every species in the galaxy knew what a white ship meant. It meant talking, not fighting. For 40 years, the Empire had attacked human colonies. They came without warning. They destroyed cities. They killed millions. And every time humanity asked for peace, every time humanity tried to understand why, every time they refused to explain. Now, after 40 years of blood and tears, Ho carried humanity's final message. The bridge was quiet. 20 crew members worked at their stations, but no one spoke. They all knew what this mission meant. If they said no today, everything would change. "I still think this is a mistake," Min said. She walked to stand beside the Admiral. "They have killed so many of us. Why do we keep asking for peace?" Ho turned to look at her. His eyes were tired but kind. "Because we must try, Min, we must try everything before we become like them." "And if they say no?" The Admiral did not answer. He turned back to the stars. 3 hours later, the Hope's Light entered space. The enemy fleet surrounded them immediately. Warships were massive, 3 times larger than any human vessel. Their hulls were dark purple, covered in sharp edges and weapons. They looked like predators. A message came through the communication system. A face appeared on the main screen. There were tall beings with gray skin and 4 eyes. Their mouths were wide and filled with small, sharp teeth. This one wore the marks of a high commander. "Human vessel," they said. Its voice was deep and cold. "You enter our space, you know the punishment for this." Ho stepped forward. "I am Admiral Ho of the United Earth Fleet. I come as a diplomat, not a soldier. I carry a message from all of humanity." They made a sound like laughter. Humanity sends messages. Humanity always sends messages. Words, words, words. Your species is weak. "We are not weak," Ho said calmly. "We choose peace. There is a difference." "There is no difference," the strong take. "The weak ask, you ask." Ho took a deep breath. "For 40 years you have attacked our people. We do not know why. We have never attacked you. We have never threatened you. We have only defended ourselves." "Defense is weakness," they said. "If you were strong, you would attack." "Strength is not only in violence," Ho replied. "Strength can be in patience, in mercy, in choosing a better path." The commander showed its teeth. Among their kind, this was a sign of disgust. "Your better path has brought you here, alone, in a ship with no weapons. Your better path has made you prey." On the bridge, Min's hand moved toward her sidearm. Other crew members shifted nervously, but Ho raised his hand slightly, telling them to stay calm. "I have come to offer peace one final time," the Admiral said. "The people of Earth want this war to end. We are willing to share territory. We are willing to trade. We are willing to forget the past and build a new future." "Forget," they leaned closer to the screen. "You want us to forget how easy it was to kill your people. Forget how your colonies burned. Forget how your children screamed." Ho's jaw tightened. For a moment his calm mask almost broke, but he controlled himself. "Yes, we are willing to forget for peace." The commander was quiet for a long moment. Then it spoke to someone off-screen in its own language. Harsh, clicking sounds filled the bridge. "Your offer is interesting," the commander finally said. "Our emperor will want to hear it himself. You will come to you will speak to him directly." Min grabbed Ho's arm. "Admiral, this is a trap if we go to there." "I know," Ho said quietly. He looked at her with sad eyes. "But we must try." The Hope's light followed the fleet for 2 days. They passed through system after system, each one filled with warships. The humans saw the true size of the enemy empire, and it was terrifying. Thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, worlds beyond counting. "They could have destroyed us at any time," one crew member whispered. "Why did they wait?" Min knew the answer. Because they enjoy it. They enjoy watching us suffer slowly. When they reached Ho saw a planet covered in cities and machines. Smoke rose from massive factories. Ships flew everywhere like insects around a nest. This was the heart of an empire built on war. A shuttle took Ho and 5 other diplomats down to the surface. Min was among them. She had refused to let the admiral go alone. "Whatever happens," she told him on the shuttle, "I am with you." Ho smiled sadly. "I know, old friend, I know." The emperor waited in a throne room so large that clouds formed near the ceiling. Thousands of warriors lined the walls. They watched the humans with hungry eyes. The emperor was old and massive. His gray skin was covered in scars from ancient battles. His 4 eyes glowed with cruel intelligence. When he spoke, his voice shook the floor. "So these are humans," the emperor said. "Small, soft, weak." Ho stepped forward and bowed respectfully. "Great Emperor, I bring greetings from Earth and all human colonies. We seek peace between our peoples." The emperor made the laughing sound. All the warriors joined in. The sound was horrible, thousands of voices mocking the humans. "Peace," the emperor repeated. "You have asked for peace 17 times. 17 times we have refused. Why do you think this time will be different?" "Because this is the last time," Ho said. His voice was firm. "Earth has authorized me to make this final offer. If you refuse, we will stop asking." The emperor leaned forward. "And then what? You will fight, you will become warriors," he laughed again. "I have seen your warriors. They die like all the others." "We have held back," Ho said carefully. "We have shown you only our peaceful side. We hoped you would understand." "Understand what?" Ho looked directly into the emperor's eyes. "That we chose peace. We were not forced into it. We chose it because we knew what we would become if we chose war." For a moment the emperor was quiet. Something flickered in his eyes, curiosity perhaps, or maybe just amusement. "You think you scare me with words?" the emperor asked. "Your species has been bleeding for 40 years. Your colonies burn, your people cry, and you stand here speaking of hidden strength." He waved his massive hand. "Show me this other side. Show me now." Ho shook his head slowly. "That is not why I came. I came to prevent it. I came to give you one last chance to choose differently." The emperor rose from his throne. He towered over the humans, casting them in shadow. "I have made my choice. I made it 40 years ago when I first saw your weak, peaceful worlds. I chose to take everything you have, to break your spirits, to make you understand that the galaxy belongs to the strong." He snapped his claws and guards rushed forward. They grabbed the human diplomats roughly. "Wait," Ho said. "If you reject peace, you must know." "I know nothing from you," the emperor interrupted. "I am done listening to human words. Now the galaxy will see what happens to species that beg." The guards dragged the diplomats toward a platform at the center of the room. Cameras activated. This was being broadcast to every world and beyond. The whole galaxy would watch. Min fought against her captors, but they were too strong. "Ho, we have to do something." The admiral did not fight. He stood straight and calm as they forced him to his knees. He looked up at the emperor one last time. "You will regret this," Ho said quietly. "Not because of what you do to us today, but because of what we will become tomorrow." The emperor bared his teeth. "Tomorrow, there will be no humans left to become anything." The execution was quick and brutal. 6 humans died on their knees while the galaxy watched. They cheered. Other species looked away in horror. And on Earth, in a dark room filled with military leaders, a woman with gray hair watched the broadcast end. President sat in silence for a long moment. Around her, generals and admirals waited. Some had tears in their eyes. Some had fists clenched in rage. Finally, the president spoke. Her voice was soft, but everyone heard it clearly. "They killed our last hope for peace," she said. "They killed Ho." "Ma'am," one general said, "what are your orders?" Stood up slowly. She was old, but in that moment she seemed to change. Something in her eyes went cold. Something ancient and terrible woke up inside her. "Send the final message," she said. "Let every species in the galaxy hear it. Let them hear it most of all." "What message, ma'am?" President looked at the frozen image of the Emperor on the screen. When she spoke, her voice was like ice. "Tell them we tried peace. Now they will meet the other side of humans." Then she turned and walked out of the room. Behind her, the generals began to move. Files were opened. Codes were entered. And somewhere deep beneath the Earth's surface, machines that had been sleeping for 200 years started to wake up. The galaxy had 40 years to learn that humans were peaceful. Now they would learn why. The galaxy waited for humanity to respond. One day passed, then two, then a week. Nothing came, no angry messages, no declarations of war, no crying for revenge, just silence. The Emperor sat on his throne and smiled. He had broken them. Finally, after 40 years, humans understood their place. They were prey, nothing more. "Their silence is their surrender," the Emperor announced to his court. "The great experiment is over. Humans have no warrior spirit. They never did." His advisors agreed. His generals celebrated. Across the empire, parties were held. They had won without a real fight. The other species of the galaxy watched and said nothing. No one wanted to attract attention. But far from space, in a hidden corner of the galaxy, Captain sat in her command chair and watched the stars. Her outpost was built inside a dead moon. No one knew it existed, not even most humans. It was a secret kept for 200 years. Was a small woman with calm eyes and steady hands. She had been stationed here for 5 years, waiting for orders that she hoped would never come. Now those orders had arrived. "Captain," her communications officer said, "the final message has been sent. Earth is dark." Nodded slowly. "I know, I watched the broadcast like everyone else." The broadcast, Admiral Ho and his team murdered for wanting peace, had not cried, she had not screamed. She had simply stood up and walked to the command center, because she knew what came next. "Ma'am, the other stations are checking in," another officer reported. "Outpost 7 confirms ready. Outpost 12 confirms ready. We are receiving signals from all hidden bases." "How many?" asked. 47 stations, 230 ships, all ready for deployment." Let out a slow breath. 230 ships. That was the real human fleet, the one the galaxy never saw. These were not diplomatic vessels painted white. These were weapons of war designed for one purpose only: destruction. "And they have no idea," she said quietly. "No, ma'am. They believe our main fleet is the only one. They believe they have already counted every human ship." Almost smiled. That was always the plan. For 200 years, humanity had hidden its true strength. After the last great war among humans, a war so terrible that it nearly destroyed Earth itself, the survivors made a choice. They locked away their most dangerous weapons. They hid their deadliest ships. They showed the galaxy only peace. It was not a lie. Humans truly wanted peace. They truly believed in diplomacy and understanding. But they were not stupid. They knew the galaxy was dangerous. They knew that someday someone might mistake kindness for weakness. So they prepared, quietly, secretly, just in case. Now just in case had arrived. "Open secure channels to all station commanders," ordered. "We need to coordinate. The plan is already in motion, but we need to make sure everyone knows their part." The screen flickered and faces appeared, 47 commanders from hidden stations across the galaxy. Some were old, some were young. All of them had the same look in their eyes, cold determination. "This is Captain of Station 1, she began. "You all know why we are here. You all watched the broadcast. Earth has sent the final message. The time for hiding is over." Commander Dong of Station 7 spoke first. He was a large man with a face. He had fought in border skirmishes against the for years. "My ships are ready to launch within the hour. Where do you want us?" "Not yet," said. "We move together. President's orders are clear. We wait for the signal. All stations mobilize, but no one shows themselves until the moment is right." "How will we know the moment?" asked Commander Bai of Station 20. She was young, barely 30, but she commanded 3 heavy cruisers. "You will know," replied. "Trust me. When Earth speaks again, every species in the galaxy will hear it." The meeting lasted 2 hours. They reviewed positions, confirmed supply lines, and checked weapons systems. These ships had been maintained in secret for generations. Engineers had dedicated their lives to keeping them ready. Now all that work would be tested. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, other species began to notice the silence. On the trading world of Mex Prime, a merchant named Set watched his monitors with growing unease. There were small, 6-legged beings with excellent business sense. They traded with everyone and fought no one. They had always found humans to be good customers. "No human ships today," Set muttered. "No human ships yesterday, none for a week." His partner, a young named, checked the trade records. "They have not contacted any of their usual suppliers. All human merchant routes are empty." "This is very strange," Set said. "Even when they attack them, humans keep trading. They are stubborn like that." "Maybe they have finally given up." Set shook his head. "I have dealt with humans for 30 years. They do not give up. They bend, but they do not break. Something else is happening." Similar conversations happened on 100 worlds. The Scientist Council noticed that human research stations had gone dark. The mining consortium found that human workers had disappeared overnight. The Medical Academy reported that human doctors had all returned to Earth without explanation. Everyone noticed, no one understood. They noticed too, but they did not care. To them, silence meant surrender. Emperor ordered his fleet to prepare for the final invasion of human space. "We will take their worlds one by one," he commanded. "We will enslave those who surrender. We will kill those who resist. In 1 year there will be no humans left." His generals bowed and went to work. Invasion plans were drawn. Supply lines were established. The greatest military force in history began to gather. And still Earth was silent. Deep inside the dead moon, Captain received a new message. It came directly from Earth, through channels so secure that only station commanders could access them. "It is from President herself," said. She read it once, then read it again. Then she closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "Captain," her second-in-command asked, "what does it say?" Opened her eyes. "Gather the crew, everyone needs to hear this." 20 minutes later, 300 officers and soldiers stood in the station's main hall. They looked up at their captain with nervous eyes. They all knew something big was coming. Stood on a raised platform and looked at her people. Many of them were young, born after the 40 years of attacks began. They had grown up hearing stories of destruction and death. They had trained in secret, hoping they would never have to fight. Now that hope was gone. "You have all seen the broadcast," began. "Admiral Ho and his team were killed while trying to make peace. They died believing in a better galaxy. They died hoping they would choose friendship over war." She paused. The hall was completely silent. "That hope is dead now. They have made their choice. And so humanity must make a different choice." Held up a small device. "This is a message from President. I will play it for you now." The device projected a hologram of the president. Looked older than she had just a week ago. Her eyes were sad but firm. To all members of the Hidden Fleet, the hologram said, you were told that you might never be needed. You were told that peace might last forever. I wish that had been true. I wish I could tell you to stay hidden, to keep waiting, to keep hopping. His hologram took a breath. But Ho is dead, my friend of 40 years. He died on his knees asking for peace until his last breath, and they laughed. They celebrated. They think they have won. The president's eyes hardened. They are wrong. They have not won anything. They have only woken something that should have stayed asleep. 200 years ago, our ancestors fought a war so terrible that they nearly destroyed themselves. They learned a lesson from that war, a lesson about what humans can become when they stop holding back. Stepped closer to the camera. They wanted to see warriors. They will see them now. Not the soldiers they have fought for 40 years, those were always holding back. No, they will see what happens when humans stop trying to be good, when we stop showing mercy, when we become what we used to be. Her voice became cold. Protocol Omega is now active. All hidden stations will mobilize. All secret weapons will be unlocked. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon that we hid from the galaxy, they are all active now. The hologram flickered. You have trained for this. You have waited for this. I wish it had not come to this, but it has. So go, show them the other side of humans, and when you are done, make sure the galaxy never forgets. The message ended. Looked at her crew. Some were pale, some were shaking, but none of them looked away. You heard the president said, we launch in 6 hours. Check your stations, prepare your ships. When we leave this moon, we do not stop until the job is done. The crew saluted as one. Dismissed, said. As the hall emptied, her second-in-command approached. Lieutenant Boram was a quiet man who rarely spoke, but now he looked at with something like fear. Captain, he said softly, do you really think we can do this? They have thousands of ships, we have hundreds. Smiled, but there was no warmth in it. You have not seen the weapons in our cargo holds. You have not read the files about what humanity did to itself 200 years ago. I have. And put her hand on his shoulder. They think they know war. They are wrong. They have only played at war. They attacked farmers and merchants and diplomats. They burned undefended worlds. They never faced an enemy that truly wanted to destroy them. She turned and walked toward the bridge. They are about to learn what real war looks like, and they are going to wish they had accepted peace. Boram stood alone in the empty hall. He thought about the stories his grandmother used to tell, stories about old Earth before the stars, stories about what humans did to each other when they forgot how to be kind. He had always thought those stories were exaggerated. Now he was not so sure. Across the galaxy in 47 hidden stations, the same scene played out. Crews gathered, messages were heard, and one by one, ancient weapons were brought online. They continued their celebrations. They planned their invasion. They counted their soon-to-be slaves. They had no idea what was coming. In 6 hours, 230 ships would emerge from hiding. In 6 hours, the galaxy would see what humanity had really been all along. And nothing would ever be the same again. General walked down a corridor that had not seen light in 200 years. The walls were made of black metal, smooth and cold. Emergency lights flickered to life as he passed, one after another, like eyes opening after a long sleep. Behind him walked 12 officers. They were the highest-ranking military leaders on Earth. Each of them had studied the old records. Each of them knew what waited at the end of this corridor. None of them spoke. The corridor ended at a massive door. It was 10 meters tall and 5 meters thick. Symbols were carved into its surface, warnings in every human language past and present. Do not open. Never again. Remember what we were. Placed his hand on the scanner. The door recognized his DNA, his fingerprints, his heartbeat. Then it asked for the code. He typed 12 numbers. the same code used by his father and his grandfather and 7 generations before them. The door had been sealed after the last human war, when survivors looked at what they had done and swore never to do it again. Now the door opened. Cold air rushed out, carrying the smell of old machines and older memories. Beyond the door was a room as large as a stadium, and in that room, preserved in perfect condition, waited the weapons that almost destroyed humanity. "Dear God," one officer whispered. She was not religious, but no other words seemed right. Walked forward slowly. His boots echoed on the metal floor. He stopped in front of the nearest weapon, a missile taller than a building, black as night, covered in warning symbols. "This is a planet killer," he said. His voice was flat without emotion. "One missile, one planet. The explosion creates a chain reaction in the planet's core. Nothing survives." He moved to the next weapon. This one was smaller, a device the size of a car floating in a containment field. Gravity bomb. It creates a tiny black hole that lasts for exactly 17 seconds, long enough to swallow a fleet. Then it disappears. He kept walking, kept pointing, kept explaining. Neural disruptor. Kills every living thing within a star system while leaving structures intact. Quantum decay device. Makes matter unstable at the atomic level. Ships, stations, even asteroids, they all fall apart. Plague carrier. Self-explanatory. One officer, a young man named Wu, felt sick. He had studied history. He knew about the last human war, but reading about these weapons was different from seeing them. "Sir," he managed to say, "how many people died when these were used before?" Stopped walking. He did not turn around. 8 billion in 3 years. Humanity was almost extinct. "And we kept them. We kept them because we knew we might need them again. We hoped we never would. We were wrong." Finally turned to face his officers. His face was hard but not cruel. He did not enjoy this, that was clear, but he would do what needed to be done. "Each of you will oversee the transfer of these weapons to the hidden fleet. You will follow every safety protocol. You will treat each weapon as if it could destroy Earth, because it can. When you are done, you will report directly to President." "Sir," another officer asked, "will we actually use all of these?" Considered the question. "That depends on the. If they surrender quickly, we may only need conventional weapons. If they fight," he gestured at the room around them, "then we use whatever is necessary." "But the other species," someone said. Though the others, if we use these weapons, they will fear us. They will hate us." "Yes," agreed. "They will, and maybe someday they will try to destroy us because of that fear. But that is a problem for the future. Right now our people are dying. Our colonies are burning. The plan to enslave or kill every human in the galaxy. If we do nothing, there will be no future." He walked back toward the door. "We tried to be peaceful. We tried to be good. We tried for 40 years. It did not work. So now we will try something else." Far above the weapons vault, President sat in her office and looked at a photograph. It showed her as a young woman, standing next to a young man with kind eyes. Admiral Ho, 40 years ago, before the war began. "You always believed in them," she said to the photograph. "You always thought they could change. You thought everyone could change." A tear rolled down her cheek. "You were wrong, old friend. Some species do not want to change. Some species only understand one thing." She wiped her eyes and pressed a button on her desk. "Connect me to all military channels, all colonies, all stations." "Ready, Madam President." Took a deep breath, then she spoke. "This is President of the United Earth Government. I speak now to every human in the galaxy. Wherever you are, on Earth, in the colonies, on stations, on ships, listen carefully. For 40 years we have tried to make peace with the Empire. We have offered friendship. We have offered trade. We have offered forgiveness. They have answered with death. 1 week ago, they murdered Admiral Ho and his diplomatic team. They broadcast the execution to the entire galaxy. They wanted everyone to see what happens to species that ask for peace. Now we will show them what happens to species that refuse it. As of this moment, Protocol Omega is fully active. All hidden military assets are being mobilized. All emergency weapons are being deployed. Every able-bodied adult is called to service. We did not want this. We have never wanted war, but war has been forced upon us and we will not lose. To the other species of the galaxy, stay out of our way. This fight is not with you. We have no quarrel with anyone except but if you help them, if you hide them, if you stand between us and our enemy, we will go through you. To the Empire, you wanted warriors. You wanted to see the other side of humanity. Here we are. We will not stop until your empire is dust. We will not negotiate. We will not show mercy. You had 40 years to learn mercy, and you chose murder instead. This is my final message. There will be no more talking, no more diplomacy, no more peace. There is only war now. Out. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, humans heard their president's words and understood. This was not like the border fights of the past 40 years. This was not defense or protection or holding the line. This was total war. In the colonies, factories that made farming equipment were converted to build weapons. Schools became training centers. Hospitals prepared for mass casualties. Everyone old enough to carry a weapon was given one. On Earth, recruitment centers opened for the first time in 2 centuries. Lines formed around the block. Young and old, men and women, people from every nation and culture, they all came. They came because of Ho. They came because of the colonies. They came because they were tired of being prey. And in the hidden stations, the final preparations began. Captain inspected her ships one last time. They were unlike anything they had ever seen. Long, angular, built for speed and destruction. Their hulls were covered in strange symbols, warnings, just like the weapons vault. These ships were built after the last human war, she told Lieutenant Boram. Built by survivors who remembered what they had done and wanted to make sure humans could never be victims again. What are those symbols? Boram asked. Names. Each ship carries the name of a city destroyed in the last war. Tokyo, New York, Mumbai, Berlin, 230 ships, 230 destroyed cities. Boram felt cold. Why name them after destroyed cities? To remind us, said, to remind us what we are capable of, and to remind the enemy that we have already seen the worst and survived. She turned away from the viewing window. Time to go. Call all crews to their ships. Within the hour, 230 ships launched from their hidden stations. They moved through secret routes, using pathways that only humans knew. They avoided all other species. They avoided all detection. The fleet was gathered near the border, preparing for invasion. 10,000 ships, the largest armada they had ever assembled. Their emperor watched from his flagship with eager eyes. Today we begin the end of humanity, he announced. Today we prove that the strong rule and the weak serve. His captains cheered. Their crews roared with excitement. In a few hours, they would cross into human space and begin the final conquest. They did not know that behind them, in the darkness between stars, something was coming. On the bridge of her ship, received the signal from Earth. It was time. All ships, she said calmly. 230 ships appeared out of nowhere. One moment, empty space. The next moment, a fleet of predators. They were behind perfectly positioned, weapons already locked on target. On the flagship, alarms screamed. Officers shouted in confusion. The Emperor rose from his throne with fury in his 4 eyes. Where did they come from? He demanded. Our sensors showed nothing. Unknown, Great Emperor. They appeared from nowhere, they. The communication officer stopped talking. A new broadcast was appearing on all channels everywhere. A human face filled the screen. General looked directly into the camera. Behind him, the weapons vault was visible. Terrible machines of destruction sat waiting in their cradles. To the Empire said, "You wanted to see warriors, here we are. You wanted to see what humans do when they stop being peaceful. Here is your answer." He stepped aside, showing the room more clearly. "These are weapons we promised never to use again. Weapons that almost destroyed our own species. We locked them away 200 years ago and swore never to unlock them." His voice hardened. "You made us break that promise. You killed our friends. You burned our worlds. You laughed while our children died. Now we will show you why we locked these weapons away. Now we will show you why we chose peace." He stepped back to the center of the screen. "It was not because we were weak. It was because we knew what we would do if we ever stopped holding back." He raised his hand. "Protocol Omega, all ships engage." The screen went dark, and in the space behind the fleet, 230 human ships opened fire. The battle for the galaxy had begun. Lieutenant pressed the fire button, and the first ship died. It happened faster than anyone expected. 1 second the cruiser was there, massive, powerful, covered in weapons. The next second it was a cloud of expanding gas and broken metal. "Target destroyed," said calmly, moving to next target. Around him, 229 other human ships were doing the same thing. The darkness of space lit up with weapons fire. Human beams cut through shields like they were made of paper. Human missiles ignored defenses and found their targets every time. They tried to fight back. They had 10,000 ships. They should have won easily, but nothing they did worked. Their weapons could not track human ships. The humans moved too fast, changed direction too quickly. Their shields could not stop human beams. The energy frequencies were wrong, designed specifically to defeat technology. Their sensors could not find human ships half the time. Stealth systems that had been perfected for 200 years made the human fleet appear and disappear like ghosts. On the flagship, Emperor watched his empire dying. "Fight back," he screamed. "We outnumber them 50 to 1, fight." But his captains could not fight what they could not understand. For 40 years, they had fought a different kind of human, defensive, careful, always holding back. They had learned to beat that kind of human easily. These were not those humans. These humans attacked without hesitation. They showed no fear. They moved through the formation like predators hunting prey. And every time a ship was destroyed, the humans did not pause to celebrate. They simply moved to the next target. "Great Emperor," an advisor said, his voice shaking, "we must retreat. We are losing too many ships." "Retreat, we are, though we do not retreat." "Then we die, Great Emperor, all of us, here today." The Emperor looked at his screens. 3,000 ships destroyed. 4,000. 5. The numbers climbed every second. In the chaos, he could see human vessels moving in perfect coordination, like a single organism with 230 bodies. "How," he whispered, "how are they doing this?" No one answered, no one knew. On the bridge of her ship, Captain watched the battle unfold. Her face showed no joy, no satisfaction, only focus. "Status report," she said. "Enemy fleet at 60% and falling," her tactical officer replied. "We have lost 2 ships, minimal damage across the fleet." 2 ships out of 230, they had lost 4,000. "Continue the assault," ordered. "Leave no ship capable of fighting." The battle lasted 3 hours. By the end, the Armada, the largest fleet they had ever assembled, was gone. Debris floated in a field stretching thousands of kilometers. Life pods drifted among the wreckage, carrying survivors who no longer wanted to fight. The human fleet did not destroy the life pods. That surprised the who survived. They had expected no mercy. "Your Emperor ordered no mercy for our diplomats," broadcast to the drifting pods. "But we are not your Emperor. We are better than him. Remain in your pods. Do not attempt to fight. Help will come for you eventually. Then she turned her attention to the real target. All ships set course for the best speed. They arrived in 6 hours. They had defenses, orbital stations, weapons platforms, ground-based artillery. All of it designed to stop any invasion force. All of it useless against what the humans brought. Commander Dong led the assault on the orbital defenses. His 3 heavy cruisers destroyed the first station in seconds, then the second, then the third. They are trying to surrender, his communications officer reported. The station commanders are broadcasting on all frequencies. They want to negotiate. Dong shook his head. We do not negotiate. The Emperor decided that when he killed our diplomats. Continue the assault. One by one, the orbital defenses fell. Human ships swept through space like fire through dry grass. They destroyed military targets only, factories, bases, weapons facilities. Civilian areas were left alone. But the message was clear. The military was ending today. On the surface, the Emperor gathered his personal guard. 10,000 elite warriors, the best the Empire had. They would make a final stand at the palace. Humans will never take this world, the Emperor declared. We will fight to the last soldier. His warriors cheered. They believed in their Emperor. They believed in strength. They did not know what was coming. Lieutenant led the ground assault. His team dropped from orbit in armored pods, falling like meteors through the atmosphere. They hit the ground running, weapons already firing. The warriors were tall and strong. They had 4 eyes and fast reflexes. In close combat, they had always beaten humans easily. Not today. Today, the humans wore powered armor, war machines that made them stronger, faster, and nearly indestructible. Today, they carried weapons designed to kill, tuned to the exact frequencies of nervous systems. The battle for the palace lasted 30 minutes. When it was over, walked through the shattered gates. Bodies littered the ground, warriors who had fought bravely but uselessly. The lieutenant felt no joy in the victory. This was not a game. This was not revenge. This was simply the end of a threat. He found the Emperor hiding in the throne room. The great ruler who had ordered the deaths of billions was crouched behind his throne, shaking with fear. Please, the Emperor begged. Please, I surrender. I will do anything. Just do not kill me. Looked at him for a long moment. He thought about Admiral Ho, murdered on his knees. He thought about the 40 years of attacks. He thought about his own sister, killed in a raid when he was 12. His finger tightened on the trigger. Then he took a deep breath and lowered his weapon. You are a prisoner of the United Earth government, said. You will be taken to Earth. You will stand trial for your crimes. If you are found guilty, and you will spend the rest of your life in a cell. The Emperor stared at him with disbelief. You are not going to kill me. No, killing you would be too easy. You will live, Emperor. You will live long enough to watch everything you built turn to dust. You will live long enough to see your empire become a memory. That is your punishment. Guards came and took the Emperor away. Watched them go, then turned to look out the window at the burning city. It was over. The military was destroyed. Their Emperor was captured. Their empire was finished. But did not feel victory. He felt tired and sad. In orbit, Captain received the report. She closed her eyes and let out a slow breath. "The is secure?" she asked. "Yes, Captain. Minimal civilian casualties. Military targets destroyed. The Emperor is in custody." "Good." She opened her eyes. "Begin Phase 2. Spread out across space. Find every military base, every weapons factory, every warship. Destroy them all. When you are done, there should be nothing left that can threaten us. And the colonies, the civilian worlds. Leave them alone. We are here to end a war, not to commit genocide. The people are not our enemy, only their military and their leaders." Her officers nodded and went to work. For the next week, human ships swept through space. They found and destroyed military targets with surgical precision. They freed human prisoners from labor camps. They captured war criminals and prepared them for trial. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. They had been the most powerful military force in known space. They had bullied and conquered for centuries. Everyone had feared them. Everyone had obeyed them. And humanity had destroyed them in days. On Mex Prime, the merchant sat in his shop and stared at his screen. News reports showed image after image of ships burning, bases falling, commanders surrendering. "I told you," he said to his partner, "I told you humans do not give up." "You did not tell me they could do this," replied. Her voice was shaking. "No one could do this. They had 10,000 ships." "And now they have none." Set shook his head slowly. "I have been trading with humans for 30 years. I thought I understood them. I was wrong." "Everyone was wrong," said. "The whole galaxy was wrong." Similar conversations happened everywhere. Species that had ignored humanity for decades suddenly paid attention. Species that had laughed at human diplomacy suddenly remembered every human ship they had ever seen, and wondered how many more they had not seen. The Scientist Council held an emergency meeting. The mining consortium sent nervous messages to Earth, hopping to assure humans that they had always been friends. The Medical Academy offered assistance to human soldiers wounded in battle. Everyone wanted to be on humanity's good side now. But it was too late for the general sent his final report to President. The report was long and detailed, but the summary was simple. The war was over. Every military installation was destroyed. Every warship was sunk or captured. Every military leader was dead or imprisoned. The empire that had terrorized humans for 40 years no longer existed. Read the report in her office, alone. When she finished, she set it down and looked at the photograph of Admiral Ho. "We won, old friend," she said quietly. "I wish you could see it." The photograph did not answer. Ho was gone. He had died believing in peace, killed by enemies who did not deserve his faith. But maybe his death had not been meaningless. Maybe it had woken humanity up. Maybe it had shown them what they needed to become, if only for a moment, to survive. Stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting over Earth. The sky was painted orange and red like fire. Tomorrow she would address the galaxy. She would tell them what humanity was, and what they would become again, now that the war was over. But tonight she would mourn for Ho, for the dead, for the peace that almost was and might never be again. The war was over, but what came next was uncertain. Humanity had shown the galaxy its warrior face. Now it would have to decide whether to put that face away or wear it forever. 1 month after the fall of the Empire, Admiral Ho's memorial was held on Earth. Millions watched. Humans from every colony, every station, every ship in the galaxy paused what they were doing and turned to their screens. They watched as President placed flowers on an empty coffin that had not returned his body. "Ho believed in peace," said, her voice carrying to every corner of human space. "He believed that every species could choose to be better. He believed that war was never the only answer." She paused, looking at the coffin. He was right. War should never be the only answer. But sometimes it is the necessary answer, when all other paths are closed, when mercy is treated as weakness, when peace is punished with death. She turned to face the cameras directly. Ho did not die in vain. His death woke us up. His death reminded us who we are, not just peaceful traders and diplomats, but also warriors, protectors, a species that will burn the galaxy to save its children. In the crowd, Captain stood with her crew. They wore their dress uniforms, medals shining on their chests. They had destroyed an empire. They had ended a 40-year war. And now they stood quietly, honoring a man who had tried to prevent that war until his last breath. "I miss him," said softly. Lieutenant Boram, standing beside her, nodded but said nothing. There was nothing to say. The memorial ended with a moment of silence. Then the screens went dark, and the galaxy returned to its business. But not entirely. Because everyone knew what came next. President had announced a galactic broadcast, a message to every species in known space. This was it. This was the moment the galaxy learned what humanity would do with its new power. Captain was chosen to deliver the message. She stood on the bridge of her ship, floating in the ruins of space. Behind her, through the windows, the wreckage of the Emperor's flagship drifted in the darkness. The cameras activated, looked directly into the lens. My name is Captain of the United Earth Fleet. You all know what has happened here. You have seen the broadcasts. You know that the Empire, the most powerful military force in the galaxy, was destroyed in less than 2 weeks. She paused, letting the words sink in. You are afraid now, I can feel it. Every species, every government, every leader, you are all asking the same question. Are the humans coming for us next? On 1,000 worlds, billions of beings leaned closer to their screens. This was the moment of truth. The answer is no. His expression softened slightly. We did not want this war. We never wanted any war. For 40 years we tried to make peace with we sent diplomats. We made offers. We forgave attacks that killed millions of our people. We did everything possible to avoid what finally happened. She gestured at the wreckage behind her. This is not a victory. This is a tragedy. Billions are dead. An entire civilization is destroyed. Worlds are burning. And for what? Because one species could not accept that peace is not weakness. Her voice hardened. Let me be very clear. We are not conquerors. We do not want your worlds. We do not want your resources. We do not want your submission. All we have ever wanted is to live in peace, to trade, to learn, to grow, to explore the stars alongside our neighbors. She stepped closer to the camera. But if you attack our people, we will respond. If you kill our children, we will come for you. If you mistake our kindness for weakness, you will learn the same lesson they learned. Her eyes were cold now. We tried peace. For 40 years we tried. We showed the galaxy our patient face, our forgiving face, our hopeful face. They saw that face and thought we had no other. She shook her head slowly. They were wrong, and now they are gone. Took a deep breath. So this is our message to the galaxy. Be our friends, and we will be the best friends you have ever had. We will trade fairly. We will help when you need help. We will share knowledge and culture and dreams of the future. Her jaw tightened. But if you become our enemies, we will be the last enemies you ever have. We will not stop until you are no longer a threat. We will not negotiate while our people are dying. We will not show mercy to those who show none. She turned and pointed at the drifting wreckage. Look at what is left of the war machine. 10,000 ships, 1,000,000 soldiers, 1,000 years of conquest, all of it gone in 2 weeks. She turned back to the camera. Remember this. Remember what happens when humanity stops holding back. Remember and choose wisely. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, a deep silence fell. Leaders looked at each other. Generals reviewed their military plans. Merchants calculated new trade routes. Everyone was thinking the same thing. What now? On Mex Prime, Set the merchant closed his shop for the day. He needed to think. The humans are scary now, said. Very scary. No, Set replied slowly. They were always scary, we just did not know it. Now we do. Will other species challenge them, test them? Set shook his head. Not for a long time, maybe not ever. They were the strongest. If humanity destroyed them, who is left to fight? So what happens now? The old merchant thought about it. He remembered the humans he had met over 30 years, kind, polite, always willing to negotiate. He remembered thinking they were weak. He remembered being wrong. Now, he said, we become very good friends with humanity, Very good friends indeed. Similar decisions were made everywhere. They sent a diplomatic mission to Earth, offering a new research alliance. The consortium proposed joint mining ventures. The medical academy began training human doctors. Everyone wanted to be close to humanity now, not because they admired humans, though some did, but because they feared what would happen if they were not friendly. 1 year later, the galaxy was different. The Empire was officially dissolved. Its worlds were independent now, governed by councils of civilians who wanted nothing to do with war. Human advisors helped them rebuild, not as conquerors but as neighbors. The hidden fleet returned to its stations. The terrible weapons were locked away again. Humanity's warrior face retreated behind its peaceful mask. But no one forgot. On Earth, President retired. She was too tired to continue. She had led her people through the worst war in human history, and it had taken everything she had. Her replacement was a young man named Ho. He was kind and thoughtful, much like Ho had been. Some people worried that he was too soft for the job. Others remembered what happened when people underestimated soft humans. General remained in command of Earth's military. He kept the weapons vault ready. He trained new soldiers every year, and once a month he walked through the hidden stations, checking the ships, making sure they were prepared. "We will probably never need them again," he told Captain during one of her visits to Earth. "The galaxy has learned its lesson." Probably agreed. But what about 100 years from now? 200 species forget, new empires rise. Then they will learn the same lesson, said, the hard way. He looked out the window at the blue sky of Earth. That is why we keep the ships. That is why we train the soldiers. That is why we never truly stop being ready. Not because we want war, but because we know it might come anyway. Nodded, peace through strength. Peace through memory, corrected. Every species in the galaxy now knows what we can do. As long as they remember, they will not test us. Our job is to make sure they never forget. Years passed, then decades. Humanity expanded through the stars, building new colonies, making new friends. They were known as the peaceful species again, traders and diplomats and explorers. But in the corners of every cantina and market and trading post, a story was told. The story of the who thought humans were weak. The story of 40 years of patience that ended in 2 weeks of destruction. The story of what happens when you push humanity too far. Parents told their children, teachers taught their students, soldiers memorized the battles. And always, the story ended the same way. Be kind to humans, trade with them, be their friends. But never, ever make them your enemies. Because they tried peace once. They tried it for 40 years, and when it failed, they showed the galaxy what they really were. Now the galaxy remembers. Now the galaxy is at peace. And on Earth, in a quiet garden near the sea, a small memorial stone stands. It has no name on it, just 4 words that every human knows by heart. We tried peace first. Below the words, carved in smaller letters, is a date. The date the empire fell. The date humanity stopped holding back. Visitors come to the memorial every day. They stand in silence. They remember. And then they go back to their peaceful lives, grateful that the warrior spirit is sleeping, and determined that it should stay that way. But the ships remain hidden. The weapons remain ready. The soldiers remain trained. Just in case. Because humanity learned something important in those 40 years of pain and that 2 weeks of fire. Peace is not given. It is earned. It is protected. It is defended. And if someone ever threatens it again, humanity will be ready. This time, they will not wait 40 years. The message has been sent. The galaxy has heard it. Now everyone knows the other side of humans. And no one wants to see it again.